Welcome to the Americana Bistro Grill. I'm your host, Roberto Alvarez-Galloso, serving you the best in Americana music, country, and rock unsigned bands. We're now going to be having one of our greatest guests from Salem, Ohio, the Breezeway. It is always great to help fellow Americana artists, especially those that come from the Buckeye State like I do. In the meanwhile, I want to dedicate this video to 3RG Miami, which have the t-shirt, and to the great group Gleewood. There will be more dedications along the way as we dedicate future programs. Also, I want to make an extra dedication to Sugarcane Jane. They're a really great group composed of Anthony and Savannah. They're really great. And of course, I want to dedicate this show to Pamela Mary. So we're going to be dedicating this to Pamela Mary, Sugarcane Jane, Gleewood, composed of Jet and Callie Schiavone, and 3RG Miami, especially Rilo. All of you have my dedication. And of course, more dedications to come, like with Midnight Kahuna and Instant Karma and Saints and Angels. So these are the people we're dedicating this show to. Before we start, I just wanted to let you know that all artists, regardless of what they want to tell you, all artists are essential. Every one of them. Every one of them brings to the table music, peace, love, happiness, things that we now need in America and that we are lacking right now. That's the reason why we have the Americana Bistro Grill. Number one, to showcase talent that has not been given the opportunity. Two, to showcase that talent in the national, international realm. Three, to give them the opportunities that they would not have had with mainstream media. And four, we're ready for the Breezeway band. We're going to get ready for the Breezeway. Thank you. We're going to see if we could get you in. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to get started here. We're just waiting for that nice call to Ohio. Right now we're doing solar power until we don't have any more sun. We're just waiting for the Breezeway. Hello, come one, come all. Who am I talking with the Breezeway?
Yeah, this is Roy from the Breezeway.
Hello, Roy. How's everything?
Yeah, it's going really good. How you doing, man?
For me, it's a pleasure and an honor. I was just telling my audience that for me it's not only a privilege to help Americana artists all over America and all over the world. It's also a privilege to help those who are Buckeyes. After all, despite the name, I'm too, I'm a Buckeye.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you talked about the 330 in one of your songs, which we're going to be talking about later. I was born in the 330 area when it was 216 in Akron.
No, I mean,
it's just one of those things. I've been here in Florida for a long time, so just wanted to thank you. I just wanted to say, I want to congratulate you on your music. How did you get started with the Breezeway? How was the Breezeway formed?
well, originally we formed back in 1996. We were in junior high, just young kids. It was me and my brother, and then 3 other friends at the time. And we just got together, started writing our own songs, doing Nirvana covers, Green Day covers, and playing school dances. And then in some of the small bars around the area. So that was pretty awesome, getting to play music in bars when we were 15 years old. And it just started there, and then So we started out in Salem, Ohio, and then the 3 of us in the band, eventually we went to college down at Shawnee State University, and we took the band down there. That's down in Portsmouth, Ohio, which is the southern part of Ohio.
I've been there.
Kind of hung out there and partied for a while and got the band going. And then Jesse and I, the drummer, Jesse's my twin brother, we decided at that point we're going to move to Nashville, Tennessee, see what we can do. And so we moved down there. We had to recruit, some new band members, had to reform, and that's where we were for from about 2005 until 2011 or 2012.
Great. Before I continue with your greatest hits, what difference have you seen between Nashville and Salem, Ohio, in the music scene?
Oh yeah, as far as the music scene, it's completely different. I mean, Nashville, it's always been for a long time and still is. It's the music hub of basically the United States. You got every type of music coming through Nashville now. It's not just country anymore. You got a huge alternative scene, even some hip hop, reggae scenes. And yeah, there's a lot more competition down there, but in Nashville is where we did a lot of our networking, made a lot of awesome lifelong friends. Got our foot in the door. We even went to audio engineering school at one point just so we could learn how to record our own music. So since then we set up our own recording studio where we do all of our own production. And I'm actually out in our other studio right now. You can see the green screen behind me. This is where we film a lot of our music videos and some of our live gigs, some of our virtual gigs.
Great. You were talking about how Nashville has been having even rap. I also know that I've also seen some of your videos. You performed with one of the greatest artists in Ohio, called IR. I think that's the name, IR.
Yeah, IR.
IR. IR is the one that does the rap, right?
Yeah, he does a lot of rap stuff, and we've been working with him since I think 2011.
Okay.
And we've known him. We were always friends long before that too.
No, I like his style. But I often ask myself the question: all of you have a great style. It's something that really gives me pride as being a Buckeye here in Florida, and hoping to one day see you here in Miami. But my question about IR is: how have you been able to do rap with rock? I see you doing rock and roll, but you also added a little bit of elements of rap. How have you been able to do that?
We've gotten into a lot of bands over the years, and we've been a band for such a long time that we still get influenced by bands. Even though we've been a band for almost 24 years now, maybe 23 years maybe, but we still get influenced by music. We hear something different, and we're like, yeah, that's awesome. Maybe we'll give our shot at it. But at the time, we got into a band called Rehab. They're a southern, kind of rock, rap, country type band. And they were doing the mix, of everything from rock to country to rap. And I just really liked the sound so much that we started dabbling in that, because prior to that, we were always basically like a punk rock band. Always, up-tempo stuff, but we always try to make it our mission to constantly create different sounds. I don't know if we just can't stick with one sound. It works for a lot of bands. You got bands like AC/DC and some of these bands that they stick to one sound, and that really works. But for us, we had to kind of change with times, because we started out wanting to be Nirvana. That was the band we wanted to be like. Where every song, it's just this kind of up-tempo, in your face type stuff. And we just wanted to broaden our horizons, and luckily we came across IR. He's AKA Jim Willison. But we came across him at a party when we were visiting back home. One of our weekends, and he gave us a notebook. It was full of raps that he said he'd written. And so we're like, yeah, we got to work with this guy, and a lot of talent, and he's just a fun guy to be around. Great personality, and awesome. And then we've been working with him ever since.
Great. About you having different sounds, there's nothing wrong with it. What you have done here, the Breezeway, is you have proved yourself to be multifaceted. You're musical geniuses. You're really musical. I'm not joking. I have seen all of your videos in YouTube. Let's level here. Ohio Ohio is one of the birthplaces of rock and roll. We have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. We've had many rockers from Ohio. Akron had Devo. And I think Akron was also the birthplace of Rachel Sweet, who is now in London. and there have been various groups in Ohio, and one of them for me, of all the geniuses, I've seen Rachel Sweet Devo, and I've seen the Breezeway. I heard the one that really got me was Vice. I loved it. I died laughing with Vice. It's sort of like I've been using Vice here as a defiance, but that's another issue. I've been using it as a defiance. Of course, I don't actually perform or do that because I can't do that. Everyone has different talents. I couldn't do it as you. What I do is I take the video with me, and when I feel like boop off, I play it in the supermarket. That's how defined I am. Back in the 330, you showed various areas of the countryside of Akron, and I loved it. The song Home, you evoke what is home. And you've really done a lot here. How have you been able to reconcile all of these songs? Plus, how have you been able? Let me divide the question in two. Let me ask the first question. How have you been able to reconcile in your years as a group all of these songs, Vice, Back in the 330, and Home, and The World We Live In? Like, how can you compare all of them during your career?
Basically, I don't know, probably the simplest thing is that we write songs about a lot of situations we go through, like as individuals, as a band. Just every experience that you get, you get in your car and drive out somewhere, you might have some road rage, you write a song about it. A lot of these songs are all based on real life events. Like Home was because we were traveling a lot to the UK. Like we were playing gigs like in England, and we went to Italy and all over the United States and France. And people do get homesick, even though you're seeing these awesome places that you've only heard about.
Of course, Will.
You get to see all that.
Yeah, we've all had it. We've all had it.
Yeah.
Anyone who says they didn't have it is full of stupidity.
Oh yeah.
So I was in China during the Olympics in 2008, and I felt homesick too. I was thinking about Florida. I was also thinking about my youth, not my youth, but my little kid years. The time when I was a child, the 60s, 5, 6, 7 years old, in the countryside in Akron with my dog. Who could not deny that? You made 2 albums, and let me see if I wrote it right. Bits and Bobs and 'Cause I Said So. How did you reconcile these 2 albums in your career?
Well, those are just our last 2 albums. I'm not sure what the number of albums are now, but we probably have about 7 or 8 full-length albums that you can probably find on like YouTube and maybe iTunes, Spotify. But those last 2 albums, we spent a long time, and we recorded all that in our own studio. That's probably the difference about those 2 albums. Everything we recorded and wrote in our own studio. So we took our time on it. We got to work on our own pace. When you feel creative and inspired, then you head down to the studio, lay down a guitar track. We didn't feel rushed about anything. That's a problem you get sometimes when you do book a studio out. You only have so long to record, and you're paying money.
Right.
And so a lot of times you do feel rushed. Just like you have to get out of there because those people are only going to work until a certain time. So I'll probably say advice to any band is try to start your own studio. It only takes like a computer and a couple microphones and some headphones. You can do a lot with the home recordings nowadays.
Yeah, especially nowadays because you don't need the record label as a middleman. You just simply do your own album, and you sell it either by the internet, or if you don't sell it by the internet, you sell it in concerts. At least the concerts before we had COVID-19. Hopefully, we'll be going back to these concerts. But in the meanwhile, you're selling via the internet, and there are people who want to promote your music because your music rocks. It's the greatest. I'm not joking. You even did a tribute to the Lemonheads. How is that? How are you? Number one, how did you learn from the Lemonheads and apply it to the Breezeway? And two, who invited you to record a tribute to the Lemonheads?
Yeah, I guess starting out, we've always been a fan of the Lemonheads. I'd always heard their songs, their cover of Mrs. Robinson, some of those tunes. But we were in Nashville, and we'd been down there probably for a couple years, and gotten our name out a little bit. And there was, in the record label, I can't remember what the name of it was now, but Double D Records. Like they wanted to put together this tribute compilation, and they asked us to record their song called Pittsburgh. And we'd never heard it before. It was one of the songs we'd never heard by them. So we checked it out, listened to it a bunch of times, tried to figure out the words because it was almost, some of the parts were almost inaudible to understand what exact words were being said. But yeah, we did that, and all the proceeds from that album went to, I think the MAD program, like the Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Mm-hmm.
So it went to a charity of some sort, all the proceeds from that album. And we were just happy to get one song on there. There was a lot of other great covers too that people did on there.
Great. And in all of your songs, let me see, another ones. I also love the one that said "Say Hey," which I loved a lot. Another thing I also got very impressed were the Christmas carols that you did also. That you were able to go, you could go from rock, mixing it with rap, and then from all of that you could go to Christmas carols. I love that. I also love that in the group. One song that really touched my heart was when Candace Campana did with you "Oh Holy Night."
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, what was the experience of working with Candace Campana in "Oh Holy Night"?
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. We've worked on her with several songs. We've been kind of working with her off and on for maybe 2 or 3 years. She was in that IR song as well, That World We Live In.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she just has a great voice. She gets to go and sing the national anthem at these huge NFL games and baseball games, and she's getting a good gig out of it. But yeah, we worked on that "Oh Holy Night" and did another song, "Stormy Winter's Night."
Yeah,
was another
I also heard that too. How is it working with her in "Stormy Weather Night"?
Yeah, it was really cool. We'd come up with this idea, because up here in Ohio, as you probably know, sometimes we get pretty bad winters. It'll snow a whole bunch, and you still got to try to drive around if you can. Sometimes drive when you probably shouldn't, but we always find ourselves out in the roads, driving. It's sliding all over, wondering hopefully we make it home. And we decided to write a song about that, just that experience, and we asked her to write the bridge of the song. And so we sent her the song, and wrote awesome words, and came over and recorded it, and released it.
Great. I hope if you ever see her, tell her the Americana Bistro Grill wants to invite her to be interviewed as well. I remember, because just tell her that she's invited to be interviewed, because her rendition of "Oh Holy Night" with you doing the instrumentation has, let's just say that it beats all the other interpretations that I have seen and heard. It touched my heart. Why did it touch my heart? Because "Oh Holy Night" is a beautiful carol? Maybe 10%, but 90% was a sincere interpretation. There are people who can do a sincere interpretation of a Christmas carol and do it right. And there's some others who just go through the Christmas carol just simply to go through with it. But you and Candace, you showed what real music is. And congratulations. And don't think about the national anthem as a gig. Think of it as we have to do it because we love doing it. Which leads me to more other artists. You've also worked with Boldface Lies and Lazy Bone and Mike Gruber. What was it like working with them?
Well, working with them, we always loved doing collaborations. We've always done that ever since we were a young band. But yet, Boldface Lies, they're more of a heavy metal band. And so, we wanted to add a little bit of that element to one of our tunes. We do a lot of types of music, but we can't really get too heavy metal. Mm-hmm. But so we had them add some guitars, and some vocals on the one song. And that was awesome. And we're also good friends with those guys too. We'd known them for years. And Lazy Bone was a cool guy because he was a member of the Bone Thugs and Harmony, which is one of the biggest rap groups of the '90s. and they come from Cleveland, Ohio. But yeah, that was our kind of first time really working with a real famous person. So that was, yeah, we definitely remember that time. Yeah, and he did a rap on our song called Broke to Pieces. Kind of a song about like trying to live right, and I think it puts off a really good message if you ever get a chance to check out. But yeah, it's basically a rap song, but we try to put off a really good message with it.
Great. If you see Boldface Live, since you know them really well and you're great friends with them, also tell them that the Americana Bistro Grill is also, I'm also inviting them to be interviewed too. So if you see them, tell them, any Ohio artists that want to be interviewed, tell them to come on and come over. They can follow me on Instagram, YouTube, you name it, they can follow me. And I'll be glad to give them an interview and also give them big opportunities, especially in light with what we're going through right now.
Oh yeah, I'll try to get the word out. We'll definitely get the word out.
Great.
Get some people for it.
I don't know if this was the Breezeway, but your brother is Bill Henceroth, right?
Well, that's my father.
Your
My
father.
dad's Bill Henceroth.
I also saw some of his YouTube videos. I sort of consider him like part of the Breezeway too, but he did two songs. I loved it. Rockin' on the Internet and the Ohio Slide.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, if you see him, tell him I loved it.
Oh yeah.
How do you see, now we're gonna go back, now, and the future. One minute, I get too many commercials on my cell phone. I'm trying to find a way to get rid of the commercials. I don't like it. When I want to do an interview, I want to do an interview without the commercials.
Oh yeah.
The Breezeway, how did you see it in the past, present, and in the future?
Well, in the past, I mean, we had to learn a lot because we come from an area where there really is not a lot of musical industry. So, we had to learn a lot along the way. Everything from how to book a gig, how to record an album. And so the first few years were definitely like building, trying to figure out what kind of band we want to be, what kind of songs we want to create here. And then there was a large chunk in the middle where we were just playing gigs nonstop. Everywhere we could get a gig, we would go. If somebody wanted us to come to Oklahoma and play a gig, we went there. Pretty much every place you can think of, we've been all over the United States at this point. So we were just focusing on that and trying to write, and we were still limited though with not having our own recording studio. So, but then around the time where we got the recording studio, I think everything kind of changed for the band. We were able to really pump music out faster, so we were getting a lot more Spotify downloads nowadays, and all those plays and everything. And then as far as the future, it's like we're not really sure because we're one of the bands that haven't even played since March. Because as far as the type of gig we used to play, we would, people would do a lot of drinking, people were partying, people were there to have a real good time. We always had people up on stage, singing backup vocals. It was always a huge party. And so we can't really see ourselves playing a gig until we can finally get it to where you can have some people there.
Yeah, true.
I don't know what it's like right now in Florida, but in Ohio you can play some gigs, but you just can't have a big of a crowd there. You can't, everything's real controlled, and I understand all that because we're going through this pandemic.
Yeah. In Florida,
so I'm not sure.
In Florida, we're having some parties. We're doing some parties, but we're keeping it very responsible. There was a time before all of this happened, Cafe 27, which was a bar for truckers between I-75 and Broward County. Cafe 27 is on US 27 between I-75 and Broward and Florida Route 997 in Miami. In other words, it's in the rural area of Miami. There have been a lot of partying, a lot of people dancing up at the stage, the whole bit. And there was also other places called Black Lagoon and Seminole Theater, in which there were a lot of rockers, a lot of people doing country. For example, you had 3RG Miami. 3RG Miami is like one of the biggest groups in Miami. It's like the Breezeway, but it's all country rock. There's even some Spanish rock. There's metallic, the whole bit. And I used to go to the concerts and enjoyed every bit of it. And the same, there was also Instant Karma. Instant Karma. They're also another. They're like a duo. They're from New York. Their parents were from Cuba, they were a duo. Hearing them was like hearing Tom Petty and Stevie Nicks when they sang "Stop Dragging My Heart." In other words, you really had the talent, and the thing in Miami, even though Miami is a big city, the smaller groups like 3RG Miami, Instant Karma could barely get their foot on the door because there's a big monopoly of music here. Not just in Spanish, but also in English. Here, since it's a big city, you have the big conglomerates, the big corporations. They're the ones who dictate. And the artists who are here are mostly sons and daughters of executives who don't have the talent, but have the money because of mommy and daddy. And that's sort of, I don't like that, because many of these artists lack the talent, and people like you who have the talent deserve the publicity. That's why you're here. And in addition, there's even another artist. I love him a lot. His name is Midnight Kahuna. Midnight Kahuna is Miami's answer to Elvis Presley. Just imagine Elvis Presley Elvis Presley had a Cuban version called Luis Bravo. Really eccentric, very electric and everything. That is Midnight Kahuna. And his rock videos are really great. I was even in one of his rock videos, which one day I will send you. But the rock scene here is great. The only thing is that the people who have the talent don't get anything, and the people who have the talent don't get anything, and the people who do not have the talent, they're up there because of mommy and daddy. In other words, they're mama's boys. If it wasn't for their mommy or their daddy, they wouldn't be up there. But because of the purse strings, because like one of our rockers, Neil Lara was born in New Jersey to Cuban parents. Neil Lara once wrote a song called "Money Makes the Monkey Dance," and boy, does it make the monkey dance here. But regardless, I don't think of that. I just simply think with these shows that we're doing, even though you're not doing any concerts, with these cybernetic interviews, we're going to give you the publicity, and we're going to give all of your groups in Ohio the publicity that they deserve. I can only promise that. I cannot promise the sun, the stars, or the moons. Only the proverbial fool does those promises. I can only say I will try. All you have to do is bring all of the other artists, get them in my Instagram, get them in my YouTube, and we'll take it from there. Now, how can people buy your albums?
I guess nowadays, like we do sell a couple of our physical CDs, like through like PayPal and stuff, but all of our music is up on like Spotify, like iTunes. I'm not sure what all the rest of them are, like Rhapsody, Napster, all that. Yeah, it seems like most people are getting their music now from the digital downloads. So you can find us at most of those platforms.
Yeah, but don't think the digital era has done away with the vinyl. There also been an interest in vinyl and CDs as well. There was a Texas singer-songwriter. Her name is Phoenix Hart. She was a singer-songwriter until she retired because she got married and had kids. And it's understandable. One has to put family first before music at times. She did an album, a CD, and a vinyl, and made an experiment with the CD and the vinyl. And the vinyl turned out like you were hearing it. And digital, it just simply dissolved like the Last Supper from Da Vinci. Before I leave, I have two things to deal with. Number one, I want to thank you for coming here. For me, it was a pleasure and honor having you here. I love it here from the top of my heart. And I said, and I don't mean to repeat it, everyone that you know in Ohio that has artists, that are singers, tell Candace she's invited. Tell Tell Mike Gruber he's invited. Tell Bold-Faced Lies that they're invited too. Everyone is invited. And I'm also going to give you this souvenir. Well, it's a caricature of me. It was done by a cartoonist who lives in Cuba. His name is Reynol of Cuba. Since conflict of interest laws in America say I must reveal my sources, he's my first cousin. We don't know each other personally. We just simply know each other by letters and by Facebook. But he drew this for me so that not only I could help him ease his misery a little bit, but also because he also has the talent. I also think that he needs to be promoted all over. And I'm doing that for him. But this is for you. I'm also going to see if I could get you an American flag in Miami as well, because I do a lot of photos of the American flag and the Florida flag.
Oh yeah.
So you're gonna get this today, and whenever I go out, because we don't have that much restrictions. Although it's like a day-to-day thing. One day we're having restrictions, another day we're not having it. So give and take what's going to happen. I'll send you the flag and the flag of Florida, along with this.
Oh yeah.
What is your message to the rest of the 50 states and the world?
Well, the message is, I don't know, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and just do your best to live life right now. Like, everything's different for everybody, but life will go back to normal. Life goes on.
Of course, from one Buckeye, born in Akron, to another Buckeye and all the other Buckeyes, I want to wish you all the best, and peace in and peace out and peace everywhere. And to everyone else who is listening to us, please go and buy the albums from the Breezeway, or get them digital wise. We have to help our local artists. We have to help our local businesses as well. I want people also donating to the Nebraska Farm Bureau to help the farmers of Nebraska, to the Health Alliance of Austin Musicians, which is an insurance company for Austin musicians that are in need of medical care, and also the campaign for the fair sentencing of youth, to help our youth of America get a better life instead of being sent to jail. My best wishes to you, Bill, and everybody else. Not Bill. I'm just like half asleep. My best wishes to you and everyone else. It was a pleasure having you.
Thanks for having us, man.
I love having your group. I want to hear your group a lot, and keep on doing those albums. If you can't do concerts or do albums because of this social distancing or whatever, you can always do virtual. We'll survive. We're going to survive. And to everyone else, peace in, peace out, and peace everywhere. May God bless you, the Breezeway. May God bless Ohio, and may God bless everybody in the USA and all over the world. And until the next time, I'm going to be saying goodbye to you later on. Don't hang up.